They fly not too high in search of food and breeding grounds. These grey-crowned cranes have this ecosystem as their habitat, but there is trouble. This is Lake Olbolosat in 2019 when we last visited here. And now, this is the status of the lake. The 43.3 square kilometer lake, the only freshwater lake in central Kenya, was gazetted in 2018 for protection. George Ndungu, an ornithologist and conservationist, has been involved in conservation of grey-crowned cranes and has seen a lot of changes in the lake.
One of the few highland lakes we have in the world because it lies at an altitude of 2,300 meters above sea level.
It is marked as the 61st International Bird Area, simply because it harbors the rarest of bird species, and some of them come from as far as Europe and Asia to come and take aboard within the lake, and then they're able to rest, recuperate, and then they move downwards to South Africa.
The hippos are lying in the open lake. Water has receded at a high rate. Invasive species are slowly swallowing the lake, killing the reeds that the cranes depend on for breeding.
The Salvinia moresta is an invasive weed from South America, and for the last 3 years, this weed has really spread very fast and has affected the native biodiversity.
You find that there have been a lot of nutrients. I can say they go to the lake. Once it gets those nutrients, because it requires a lot of those nutrients, its productivity doubles.
We know through research, and it is known that currently this is the largest breeding site for the grey-crowned crane. And the grey-crowned crane, for the last 45 years, this species population has gone down with over 80%.
The birds, which have been listed as endangered by International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, could soon be forced to fly away from this habitat to look for an alternative home. The level of encroachment at the Lake Olbolosat is on another level. This mansionette has been built on riparian land, just a few meters from the lake.
Encroachment around the riparian lands by people who really lay claim to legal ownership of the land. They have titles to claim that ownership, but really I don't know who issues this these legal title deeds and whether they're legal in the first place.
I think almost 10 acres within the lake itself. There is somebody who has a title deed. I mean, somebody is having a title deed of a lake. I mean, it's a lake, and somebody has a title deed in his pocket. So there is madness somewhere in Kenya.
So far, the lake has lost 21,000 acres of land to grabbing from the initial 30,000 acres. More houses are cropping around it long after it was gazetted in 2018.
NEMA has not been very, I would say, very particular in terms of enforcing that gazettement notice that they are put. It was more of a PR.
Up to date, hatujaona kitu imeendelea sana ya kuweka boundaries ya kwamba kuna mtu asitoke pande hii avuke pahali kumerimo mtaro ya kuzuia hipo.
K24 TV established that some locals are putting up houses around the lake with old iron sheets to depict how long they have lived here so as to benefit from government compensation when the process begins.
A lot of people have laid claim, not just at the riparian, but even within the catchment. As we speak, there's a case in court where KFS is challenging the legal ownership of Patisatima escarpment.
We learned that the Office of District Settlement in Nyandarua County was behind the issuance of land titles to people around the lake. Our efforts to get a comment from their office hit a dead end. Cases of human-wildlife conflict have been on the rise. This is Satima Escarpment, which is an extension of Aberdare Forest. It is part of Ndaragwa Forest. A road contractor has been on the ground digging soil for the construction of a road. And since it is at the upper part of the lake, massive soil is expected to find its way into the lake once it rains, causing siltation. Part of the escarpment has been on fire for days, and it is said farmers are to blame.
That escarpment has over 16 springs, natural springs that go into the lake. So when we see people fencing off such critical ecosystem, then it becomes a challenge.
Tumeria mpaka tunauliza ni nani atatoka juu ama ni wapi akuje ashikane na sisi tuokoe ziwa letu.
Grazing around the lake is another pressure the lake is facing. These rivers feeding the lake are almost dry. Farming activities and the planting of eucalyptus trees near the streams is seen to have caused this. Government agencies tasked with the protection of natural resources, such as National Environment Authority NEMA, Kenya Water Towers Agency, Water Resources Authority, Ministry of Lands, and County Government of Nyandarua must rise to the occasion to save this lake.
All these people are brought together, and then we ensure that everybody plays his or her part in ensuring that we conserve this. You bush NEMA, then it reaches a point the county government runs away. Then when you go to the county government, water resources also runs away on the other side.
KFS, they need to put some order in reforestation in the Satima escarpment, because each and every year the situation is becoming worse and worse.
Not far from here, on my left, is the world-famous Thompson Falls. We want to find out the status of the same, given that human activity in the upstream is something of concern. The water volumes at the Thompson Falls are at their lowest. Locals say that even during dry seasons, years back, the falls were breathtaking, but today, that is just another story.
Mtu alikuwa nakuja naona hii mochi inatoka wapi, nafikiria ati ni kushomeka inashomeka. Hungeweza kuona ile maji ama uko chini. Unaona tu mochi mpaka hapa hivi unaona. Hata ukiwa hapa unasikia sasa mvua inanyesha.
Thompson Falls form a Waso Narok River. The volume of water at the outskirts of Rumuruti town is at its all-time low. Past the town is the Waso Narok wetland, popularly known as Marura. Lush green farms is what greets you. This is where Ewaso Narok River drains its water, forming the greater Ewaso Nyiro River. Here, the sound of generators pumping water out from the wetland without proper regulation can be heard from a distance. The water is pumped into this dam and later to the farm. River Ayam, which drains into the Marura wetland, has given up the fight due to the amount of water being drawn from it for farming.
People that are upstream, they don't know the effects they are causing downstream.
Ewaso Nyiro River is no longer flowing, leaving wildlife at the Samburu National Reserve and conservancies around suffering. The river serves more than 2 million people in 5 counties. The drying up is causing more pain to the people living in Wajir, Laikipia, Isiolo and Samburu counties who are seriously affected by drought. On 24th March 2022, the Minister of Environment issued a 30-day public notice to declare Ewaso Narok Swamp in Laikipia County a protected area. Will this save Lake Olobolosat ecosystem? Dan Kaburu, K24, Nyandarua County.